Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm your host Josh, aka Jantmor. Welcome to another installment of Jantmor interviews. Today I'll be speaking with the voice of Obito Uchiha and Toby and Naruto Shippuden, Viper and Legend of Korra. He was one of the triad dudes in the first episode, Jet the Hawk in various Sonic titles, and he's done so much more that we will dive into today. Ladies and gentlemen, can I have a rounding round of applause for the amazing, the humble, the uber talented Dr. Michael Yurchak. There we go. Are you a little? What's up? Your phone is a little crooked.
Did I go? I'm on the side. I'm used to the horizontal view, the landscape view.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah.
How's that?
Okay.
How's
Great.
that?
How you doing today, sir?
I'm well, thank you. Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Before I get into the nitty gritty and ask all my questions, I would just like to say, of course, thank you so much for joining me today. It's such an honor and a privilege and just a pleasure to be speaking to you in general. I'm so glad to be able to bring you on and just ask my questions. And thank you for agreeing to this. I hope you have a great time here, and thank you.
Absolutely, man. It is my pleasure. I will confess that I am kind of I'm relatively new to the Instagram game, and when people reach out, I love it, and I'm only too happy to do it, and I've checked out your stuff, and you are a fan of the whole craft, and and part of it too. So it's nice to be here, and I appreciate you having me.
Those words mean so much to me. So first, we're gonna play on the spot, nice little icebreaker game I like to play with the voice actors, where I give you 3 characters and you have to create voices for them. You ready?
Okay.
All right. First character, Michael. You have been cast as Iron Man. His body's kind of cut off, but that's Iron Man.
Iron Man. Okay.
He's kind of cocky, kind of got the swag. He's got it all.
Right. Now you're going to tell me that this thing is mine? Mine?
Yeah.
I'll take it.
You've been cast as Iron Man. So what voice would you make for him?
There we go. That's I think so. My thing is just like you said. He is. There's this kind of it's hard not to consider the voice that's out there. But Robert Downey Jr. But that idea of sort of the cocky. The cocky sort of fun Mr. Nice Guy, sort of everybody knows everything, and I'm a little bit of a smarm, but that's all right. Combined with sort of a little bit more grit when he gets into tension, and hey, what do you think about this? I think I've got it covered. That's probably where I'd come in.
Steppenwolf in honor of Zack Snyder's Justice League. What voice would you create for him? He's got the spikes. He's very aggressive. He's about killing people. He's kind of like Obito, but not at all, because he's a vicious killer and has no empathy. So what would you pick for this character?
Yeah, so I think already, just because of the otherworldly kind of thing, is I'm going to start going with sort of
get out of my way. I'll have you for supper.
Sonic.
So Sonic is, I play Sonic's enemy in a couple of things, and one of the neat things about these guys is that they're full hero villain sidekick kind of characters, but they're small and they're cute. So I'd probably bring them in here somewhere like this. Hey, get out of here! This is the way I'm going to get to the end of this duo. I think I got it. Let's go. I kind of put them in there somehow.
Perfect. Now, while I was looking into some cool things to talk to you about, I found out that you are a guitar player. How'd that get introduced to you?
That's funny. I am. I don't know how you know that, but I appreciate that you know that. I have. I started playing guitar when I was I started playing guitar when I was a kid. I was in 3rd grade. I needed to take music lessons. I didn't like piano. Everyone was playing the recorder, and I thought it'd be cool to play guitar, and so I started taking lessons. I didn't stick with it for very long, and I sort of put it aside somewhere around 5th or 6th grade, and then I picked it up again a little bit in college, and then honestly, when I kind of moved out on my own after college and was out there, I really started to learn how to play, mostly self-taught. I'm a campfire guitarist for sure. But lately I've been playing a ton, you know, the last few years anyway. I've been just playing a lot and kind of putting stuff, you know, putting it out there and getting together with friends every so often and so on.
The pandemic is what got me into guitar. I originally wanted drums, but my mother said absolutely not, and she got me a guitar. So I'm with the guitar now, but I love the guitar a lot. I mean, sadly, I have to relearn things because I just stopped playing for like a couple months because the string broke and I didn't know how to fix it. And I'm kind of, when it comes to that type of stuff, like when something's broken or missing, I'm like, I get really flustered. I had to fix it, so I'm getting back into guitar. Another cool thing as to the reason I called you doctor in the beginning is because you earned your doctorate from NYU in 2018. How was that experience? What work went into that?
First of all, I love that you have done homework and know these things, because I've been interviewed a bunch of times at this point, and it's mostly, how is Obito? How's that? You know, which is fine. All of that is fine. But that you know, these are, I don't know how you found this stuff out, but I appreciate it. So yeah, man, that was a chore. That's for sure. It was. I went back to graduate school way back in the early 2000s, and I got my master's degree. And then when I kind of finished up in 2004, and came back out to LA, and was and had been out here for a long time, and decided at some point that I had been doing some teaching, but I had wanted to. I don't know. I come from an academic family, and they kind of there's always been a little bit of a chip on my shoulder about the fact that I went off after college and became an actor instead of a doctor. I guess I just I love that side of the work. I do a lot of teaching and a lot of community outreach and things like that, and I wanted to be able to do it better. The program that I had been part of at NYU for my master's degree started a doctoral program, and asked if I would be interested in applying. Not, you know, it wasn't a guarantee, but I was asked to apply. And I said I'd love to, and I did, and I got in, and then I went through it, and man, it's a journey. It's a lot of work. The classes are a joy. The people are a joy. There are a lot of hoops you got to jump through for them to finally give you that degree at the end. And I feel like they make it as miserable as possible in order to kind of weed out the people, because it's you know, not a lot of people make it to the end. But I'm real glad I did. It felt like I, you know, swallowed an elephant by the time I got it all done. But it was nice to do, and you know, and it was my mom actually, who passed last year, was alive to see me get it finished, and I knew that it was real important to her. So I was real happy. She had the same degree, and it was just kind of a nice thing to get to share with her.
My condolences too. Yeah, that's so awesome. I'm glad that she got to see you fulfill such a rigorous and very tedious task. I had a teacher who completed a doctorate, and he'd always talk about how stressful it was, and I was like, I'll never get this out. So yeah, get into the questions. What is a childhood memory that you would say defines you?
That is a good question. Well, you know, it's hard to take this and not go like too personal with it. They're early on in my childhood, I discovered that I could lighten the mood by being a little bit of a goof. I discovered that you know, taking on characters and doing a little clowning could help the situation. You know, there are certainly homes out there that were more broken than mine, but mine had its moments, you know, and I guess there was a lot of relief in making other people laugh, because it meant that they weren't yelling, you know, or crying, you know, and that felt good from an early age, and I recall specifically, you know, some dark times in when I was very young, and realizing I could do something that changed the mood in a way that really just made everything better, made everything feel a little more palatable, I guess, right? And so that's I guess how I'd answer that one. I don't mean to bring it down, but it just like that's where it started for me. And then I chased it into into grade school. I remember being in my first play probably was Johnny Appleseed. I played Johnny Appleseed in as a kindergartner, and and I remember wearing the pot on my head and feeling like this is the greatest, and later on, I was lucky enough to go to schools where drama was a big part of every year. Like there was always something to do, and I early on I wanted to do it, and I just kept wanting to do it. So I just kept on going with it after that.
We have that in common. I'm just very much a goof. I love to make people laugh. That's why I make skits and stuff on my Instagram. I just love seeing people laugh and tell me, gosh, you really, really helped pick up my mood. And you have like a pure energy that I just love. And getting stuff like that is like the greatest compliment I could really receive. So it's just so awesome. As a kid, what did your parents think you would do as a career?
What did they think I would do?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I think that that they were always very supportive. And from early on, I think that I guess if I were going to guess what they would have thought I would have gotten into, it would have either been teaching or sports broadcasting. I was in college. I did a lot of acting and sketch comedy and stuff like that. But I was the voice of. I went to a school called Colgate University, and they have a big hockey program. And I was one of the guys that did the play-by-play for the hockey team for the whole 4 years that I was there. So we would travel around the country with the team, or the East Coast, I guess, with the team, and hang out and call the games and all of that. And I really enjoyed it. And I thought about getting into that afterwards, and just, life took me a different direction. But I think my dad probably thought that's what I was going to do, and my mom thought I would teach. And they were both right in some ways, because I think though I don't do too much sports broadcasting anymore, I do a lot of teaching. So, and some of what I do, every so often I'll play a broadcast. I just did an audition yesterday for a, kind of like a Bob Uecker style, like just a bit outside, like that kind of style of broadcaster guy.
Well, best of luck to booking that, because I'd surely be listening to that for 24/7. What got you interested into acting? How did that get brought into your life?
Yeah, so as I said, there were just a lot of opportunities to do it, and it was the kind of thing where everyone was going to be involved. And it looked to me like it was most fun to be very involved. So I went for the big parts, and I ended up getting lucky a bunch of times when I was pretty young, and it just I got the bug. For the first part of my life, until I was about 13, I grew up outside of Boston, and the school I went to, every year they had a 6th grade production that was sort of this big thing that they would do at the town hall, and people would come from all around, including, different people that you admired from wherever else, and other schools and other teams and other things. And so we did Peter Pan, and I played Captain Hook. And that was my first kind of character role. And I got to be very sort of, what I thought was an excellent rendition of sort of a foppish kind of character, and constantly up like that, and just had a real good time with it.
Captain Hook, that must have been a role to play the main villain of Peter Pan. Who are some role models of yours going into this industry? People all the time talk about how someone inspired them to do this, that, and the third. So who are some of yours?
My favorite actors, for sure. I mean, Philip Seymour Hoffman, who passed away, a few years ago now, was probably my favorite actor, sort of, out there working all the time. Kevin Kline is another guy that is just like, he morphs into every character that he's ever done. There's a guy called Mark Rylance who is lesser known in the film world, but was a prominent theater actor, and was the artistic director at Shakespeare's Globe for a number of years, and is just like incredible. There, Robin Williams, of course. There are people that you watch, and they transform so completely, and they have a way of caring so deeply about the art form, but also being so playful at the same time, that I just find it beautiful to watch. And that's kind of where I fall. Where I'd like to see myself is, I really do care. I really have studied. I really am constantly curious. And I really love doing it, and as many times as I get opportunities to do it, or to do this kind of thing, or to, be involved, I'm thrilled, and that's just the truth,
That's such a powerful story, because I know a lot of actors talk about roles that they do and stuff like that, and sometimes how they do it for a check, but I think it would be safe to say with you have to do a role and it has to be meaningful to you, no?
Well, listen, yes, that's true. And at the same time, I guys got to make a living. But,
right.
The thing, and, if it pound for pound, if I'm being offered two different things, I guess, and I have to make a choice, of course, yes, I want to do it. I would never do something that would compromise my integrity or hurt somebody else. I think that's safe to say. But let's face it, every commercial you do is not Shakespeare. And at the same time, I'm happy to do them. Speaking of which, and I hate to say this, can I pause for 1 second? Because I'm getting a text from a production company that's trying to deliver a microphone that I need to use for a gig that I'm doing tomorrow, that I will tell you about, but I have to just respond to this guy.
Yeah, so I'm gonna kick you out and now bring you back in, because that's how
okay. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
2 minutes.
Awesome. Okay, guys, please tell me what my last question was. Okay, there you go. Okay.
I'm back. So sorry. Proof
you're
in the pudding, though. Proof in the pudding. They just brought me this with a baggie over it and a microphone in a plastic bag here. So this is kind of a cool thing. I can't tell you exactly what the show is because it's not out yet, and there are NDAs and so on. But I just got a role on a new animated series, which should be super fun, and I get to play a fun character, and that'll be cool. And then the thing is that right now, because of COVID, stuff is recording from home studios, right? So we all record from home. So this is my home booth here. That is right behind me. That's the outside of it, and I'm here in my office. And I have, sort of a pretty nice rig. But every show has its own sort of way they like to record. And this one, it looks like they're using a Neumann TLM 103, which is just This is sort of like the workhorse microphone of the voiceover industry, particularly for animation, and that's not what I have. So what they wanted to they want everybody to be on the same mic, so we all sound like we're on the same world. So they send someone over to to give it to me, but it was like, it's one of those things where they said, we'll probably send someone, and I said, okay, fine. And then all of a sudden, I just saw, as you and I were talking, I got like text, and then I realized, oh my God, this kid is sitting outside my house right now wanting to give the microphone, and I know he can't just leave it on the front porch. He's got to hand it to me. So thank you for understanding.
Oh no, I completely understand. Stuff like this happens. Like in the time when we're doing everything virtual, my mom could be calling me in 5 seconds to come do the laundry or something. So we never know what could happen. But
it's pretty baller though, right?
Right.
I'm in the middle of an interview and I get a delivery from the production company right in the middle of it. It's not bad.
You have to send it back, or is that like yours to keep?
No, yeah, they'll come pick it up at the end. I don't know. I'm not sure. Right now, we have like a tentative deal for 12 episodes, but we're only scheduled right now for 1. So I don't know if they'll pick it up and drop it off between every episode, or if it'll just live here for a while. But I'll take it. It's nice. It's a nice microphone.
I'm obviously not gonna talk too much about like his NDAs are insane. So obviously you come from a theater background. You did plays as a kid. So how did voiceover get introduced into your life?
Yeah, so I didn't start doing voiceover until 1990. Well, it's a long time ago for you, but for me, it's not that long ago. 1999. I graduated from college in 1994, and I moved out to Los Angeles, and I got pretty lucky pretty quickly doing commercials, on-camera commercial stuff. So, beer and fast food and that kind of thing. And that was great, and it was fun, and it was what it was. I had always, as I told you, I had always kind of done voices and comedy and stuff like that, and so I was interested in it, but I didn't know very much about the entertainment industry or how things worked, and I didn't know very much about that side of stuff. But because I had an agent that was working on camera, that I did have access to some people who did know, and I just asked at the agency. I was like, what do I have to do to get the chance to do voiceover? And they just said, you would be great, but it is a specific skill, and you should take a class. And when you take a class, you're going to want to make a demo, and when you make a demo, come see us. That is an easy way to get for an agency or for people to sort of give you some help, but not actually commit to doing anything for you, and that's understandable. Those steps are necessary. It would have been a little brazen of me to think that I could just step right in and start doing it. But I got real lucky. I took a class with this great lady named Carol Kimball, who is a casting director to this day in Los Angeles, and she taught me all kinds of stuff, and then believed in me enough to help me kind of crack together a demo, and then actually walked it in with me to not just the agency that had originally made the suggestion, but a couple of other ones that were actually more specifically geared towards voiceover. And one of them, I was lucky enough to get the offer to sign with one of them, and my story is not that part of it. I love, because that part of it is I saw what I wanted. I asked how to do it. I took a class. I made a connection. I, did my best work, and it sort of paid off. The next part was just basically lucky, which is the very first spot, a big commercial campaign I read for happened to be like just right on the mark for who I was and what I sounded like at that time, and I got it. And I was the voice of KB Toys, which was a big toy store chain back in the 90s, 80s and 90s, and I suddenly went from like I'm just thinking about doing voiceover to I had this huge job right out of the gate, and it sort of has just it's been the part of my career that's made the most sense ever since, and that's how it started. Animation came a little later. It's a harder nut to crack. Lots of people want to do it. There aren't as many chances. It's a slightly tighter group to this day. I'm still on the outside looking in. It sometimes feels like I'm on the outside looking in. I'm working, I do stuff, but there are tighter circles that I'd still like a chance to get into. So we still work.
I was talking to John Bailey, the epic voice guy, and he was talking about how like cartoons are like in animations like the Mount Everest of voice acting, and it's sort of tough to get into starting out, because a lot of people want to do cartoon, but there's tiers to get there. So yeah. I didn't know that. I just thought you were like, hey, let me do cartoon. I never knew that.
Well, I mean, that essentially you're describing, that is it, like at the root of it, I guess. So I have an agent who represents me, and they send me projects that are casting, send out to agencies and say, hey, we're casting this role, give us anybody you've got that fits it. And they think about the people that they represent, and then they select, you know, the 5 or 6 or 10 or however many people they think that could, you know, they think could do well with this particular job. They send you the audition, and you record it from home and then send it back in. They listen to those. Sometimes they make a selection of their top 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, and then they send those along to the production company, who then listens to all the groups of stuff, because they've gotten them from my agency and your agency and the other agency down the street and this agency and that agency and whatever. So they're looking at a couple hundred anyway for any big role, and then they sort of weed them down to their top several, and then eventually it gets down to whoever gets it. That process is bigger when you talk about bigger fish, you know. So like you talk about a Disney movie or something like that. That's a big, you know, bowl of soup. So they are looking at giant names for big stuff. And for a guy like me, I mean, I'm a workaday actor. That I like it that way, you know. But it's there are celebrities now in the mix, even for cartoons that you see on television. You know, there are big celebrities doing those kinds of jobs, whereas before, a long time ago, 20 years ago even, that was not really part of it. You know, but now it is, and that's cool. But sometimes it can feel like quite a mountain to climb, you know, because you got to get through a lot of different levels before you really start knocking on the door of some big stuff. But listen, I can't complain. I get a lot of looks. I get a lot of chances. Every one of us, I think, would like to be in that next level up. You're always kind of looking up a little bit, because there's a sense of, you know, listen, it's just so fun. It's so fun to do it. And if you know, getting on a show, when you're lucky enough to be on a show that you care about and records regularly, there's nothing better. There's nothing better than sort of showing up every day for however many weeks in a row doing a show. And I've had a bunch of chances to do that, and it just feels so good, you know. And especially if you start to make friends with the other cast members and the people at the studio and the production team and all the rest of it, it can start to feel like a real like an ensemble or like a family. And that is, you know, that's why I love theater too, is like, you know, the collaborative effort of putting something together and you giving your 2 cents to make it that much better. There's nothing like that. And so, you know, when you get the chance to do it, it's just like, yeah, give me more. And so that's all. That's really what it's all about for me, is like, of course I want to do more because I want to do more, you know. So that's all.
Right. Well, I'm really excited for what you have planned for the future and what they offer you next. You're very talented. As I said, you're a very talented actor, because I listened to some of your roles and I'm just like, wait, that was him? So that's very important. When I interview voice actors and I say, wait, that is him, I then realize why they're in this industry. And then sometimes it just makes me upset, like, why they're not in more stuff. You know what I mean? Now let's talk about one of your roles in The Legend of Korra, and you were Viper, who is this triad dude who I don't remember because he didn't last long in the show. But I just want to ask you, were you a fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender before getting the role in Legend of Korra?
Well, I'll be honest.
Oh no!
It wasn't that I wasn't a fan,
right?
But that it was not really on my radar, to be honest with you. I was new enough to anime in general, and I don't know if you'd qualify that as anime, but I think of it, you know, it's sort of in the genre anyway. And I hadn't been into the show beforehand, but doing that show made me open my eyes to that world. I'd already done a bunch of Naruto. If I'm right about this, I think maybe I think I was still Toby and I hadn't changed to Obito yet when that show, when Korra was shooting, or recording. So I think that it was I was still kind of young. I didn't know very much about that world at all. I stumbled into Naruto completely. Like, I had no idea what I was reading for. I had no idea what the books were. I had no idea about the Japanese version of it or anything. And it was my first job doing anime at all. And then not that long afterward, I auditioned for and got Legend of Korra. But that gig was so fun because lots and lots of shows shoot or record with the actors by themselves. That show happened to record, at least the days that I worked, with all of us in the room at the same time. And it was so fun because I was in the very first episode. So when you start a show, often they'll bring everybody in and kind of, and we did a table read and we all got to meet each other, and then we were all in the booth together, and eventually things get busy, schedules start to conflict, and people have to kind of, narrow it down to get maybe one or two actors, but not very rarely would it be the whole cast. But that was the first episode, and I did the first and second episode before I get killed, and then I got to go back and do the video game as well. Doing that was so fun because there were just great actors in that thing, and people that I had met before or admired from afar, kind of thing, and seeing them in the room and getting to be there with them at the Nickelodeon studios too, and so that was super cool. And just playing with those guys at that level was for me a really big, really big fun job to do. And that's one of those ones that it didn't make that big of an impact on the show, but for me it really did. And I loved it. Yeah.
Did you meet D. Bradley Baker?
I sure did. I was about to say his name and I wasn't sure you were gonna, I wasn't sure how well known the name is, but yes. And I mean, this is a guy who is, if we have sort of peer heroes, he's definitely mine, man. Like, this is a guy that is just like, he has so many titles. And I swear, I think just about everything I've ever done, though we have only been in the room together that once, he is on, I think he has a credit on almost everything I've ever done. I swear, because he's got like 1,000 credits, So,
yes, it's insane, yeah.
But yeah, he is, that's a guy that is just, he's unbelievable and so fun to watch. And so you learn just by being in the room with him. He's such a pro. And, it was a real inspiration to kind of, to see him working. And he was at some point we were on a break and he just started sniffing around, making animal sounds that were just and just this unbelievable stuff where you see it happen in front of you and you're like, I love it, and so it was a real thrill. And it also was it was an inspiration. It made me hungry. It made me want more,
Your connection is cutting out a little bit. Is there like a room you could go to or something? Or, cause it's kind of blurry now.
Weird. I'm showing full bars. What if I go here?
Okay.
Any better?
Hold on. Let me kick you out and then bring you back in and see if it works.
Okay.
Go. Hey, Michael. Okay. Welcome. Okay. Now that's way better. Okay. I know we have some time constraints, so I'm going to get into my last couple of questions. Someone asked, would you be interested to return to voice Jet the Hawk and Sonic?
I would be. It's funny, the Jet the Hawk stuff happened again, sort of by coincidence. The game that was being recorded at Studiopolis, which is the place where Naruto is done, and it was just kind of like they needed someone because I was a replacement, I think. There's another Jet the Hawk out there, and so I stepped in and did that. And yes, of course, I'd like to do it again. The funny thing is that I think they lifted some of the same stuff from the last. I've been in all the Olympics, so I think they used some of the stuff from the last one from 2 Olympics ago for the latest one, because I didn't go back in to record it. But you know, yeah, of course I would be. You know, if I would always do that kind of stuff. Anything with as I said, you know, the animation work is so fun. It would have to be you know, it would have to be dangerous or hurtful, you know, for me to not do it, because I love it. You know, it's great.
Now let's get into one of the reasons. As you can see, big Naruto guy.
Nice.
I'm a huge Obito. I used the funny thing. Toby, yes, I used to literally hate Obito with a passion. I remember there was a scene in the show, and I almost punched a hole in the wall because I was really mad. I was like, he's gonna kill someone, one of my favorite characters. He's killing all these people. And then we get to the Naruto and Obito scene where they're talking, and I'm like, okay, I take it back. I love him. But first you were introduced as Toby, that's kind of high pitched. How are you doing? You know, sort of like that up in the head regions. So how was Toby pitched to you?
So Toby's the character I auditioned for, we went in. I went in, and it was, you know, he was sort of presented as this kind of clownish character. They showed a bunch of the Japanese episodes and let me kind of watch and see. And, you know, it was kind of like, you want to just give us a take of what you think it might sound like. And, you know, the early lines it was often like that sort of oh, Data, no, oh, no. You know, that kind of like sort of fun, sort of silly sound. And so I got it, and that was great. Every character, the thing was, again, like, I didn't know anything about Naruto, and at that time the episodes, we were recording all these episodes, but they weren't playing yet. They didn't have, I don't know if they didn't have a deal yet or whatever, but remember too, Naruto started on Disney Channel, and then it went to Disney Plus, and then it changed to like Adult Swim, and now I think it's, you know, it took a minute, because I think people didn't really understand the genre at all yet, because you know, Naruto was like part of the front wave of how popular anime has become, and they didn't know, even if they did understand anime, they didn't totally understand how dark that show really gets. And my character in particular gets like super dark, and there's death, you know, I mean, there's like, you know, people get killed and or suffer great pain and all the rest of it. So it's not like a kid's cartoon. It's not a Disney show, you know, it didn't feel like one. But I was doing Toby, and I didn't know how popular it was. I went to pick my son up at a play date, and his friend's older brother had a shrine to Naruto in his bedroom, and I was like, and Toby was in like a stuffed creature of Toby, and I was like, I play that guy, you know, and it was, you know, just a thrill to see that. And then I was doing a video game, and the video games kind of show the whole arc of the show. And so doing one of the video games, and Obito was introduced, and we were on a break, and I was just kind of messing around and doing this kind of darker voice, playing around, doing like an Obito style thing. And the engineer was like, "Can you keep doing that?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Hang on one second." He went and got a producer. The producer came in and was like, he's like, "Listen to this." Had me do it. I did it. They recorded me doing it. They sent it to Japan, got the news back, and they were like, "You want to play this?" And I was like, "Yeah." You know, so I mean, and now that's how I remember it. I could be wrong, because it feels a little chancy. But I was never asked to audition for it, and and no one told me I was playing that part. And when I actually did it, they were surprised to hear that sound come out of the same mouth that was going, "Data, no!" You know, so it was like, they were kind enough to listen, and they gave me the gig, and it was, you know, it was awesome. And that show, man, we did that show for, you know, 7 years, 8 years almost. And that was just such a fun thing to be a part of.
It says really a dream come true. I'm kind of new to the Naruto scene because my friends for a while pestered me to like get into it because I had finished Code Geass, which is another popular anime, and they're like, Joshua, please watch anime. And I was like, y'all have to stop recommending me shows because I will never finish any of them. But I went and finished Naruto, obviously, and I've loved it ever since. One of my all-time favorite animes. Now let's get into the fun part of my interviews that I wanted to do with you. It's called Weird and Wacky, where I ask you a series of weird and random questions, and you have a minute to answer all of them. No one has gotten 15 questions. The previous record holder was Tara Platt, who answered a record of 12 questions, but now the record holder is Ben Prendergast, who beat both Tara Platt and David Sobolov and has answered 13 questions.
I'm in.
Do you think you can get 15 questions?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
I'm about to start the timer in 3, 2, 1. Least favorite food?
Turnips.
A movie that made you cry?
Miracle.
Would you rather eat cockroaches or dead ants?
Dead ants.
A movie that you relate to personally?
Rudy.
Superpower that you want?
Flight.
Character you're most well known for?
Toby.
Bad habit that you had as a kid?
Chewing tobacco.
Favorite brand of soap?
There's this awesome sort of like patchouli kind of hippie soap that I like to use.
Favorite video game?
Original Asteroids.
Least favorite movie?
Cabin Boy. Cabin Boy.
Favorite song?
Standing on the Moon.
Least favorite song?
The National Anthem.
Dang it! You answered 13 questions. You were almost there. You were one away.
But so is that the new record?
No, Ben Prendergast answered the 13 questions.
Prendergast.
But before I ask my last question, I just want to say this has been so much fun, even with all the connection errors and stuff going on. I've enjoyed this time speaking with you. And thank you so much, Michael, and I hope you've enjoyed your time here as well. So thank you 1,000 times over. But my final question to you is, what is your current message to the world? Obviously, there's a pandemic going on. We have a lot going on. What would you say to people who are in need of hope?
Man, I want to say thank you, first of all, to you as well. And I really meant it earlier when I said that your questions, I find them thoughtful and important because they're not all they're not cut from the same cloth as everybody else's, and that's it's my honor to be here. So thank you for having me. I think that my message is to be kind. There is so much happening out there, and so many of us need so much. And when we can remember that we're all in that same kind of boat, it's a lot easier to remember that we can be kind first. If you lead with kindness, chances are it'll come back around. And if enough people are doing that, there's a big old circle of love at the end, and that's for me, that's what I try to live that way. And I try to teach my kids that way. And as much as possible, I want to put it out there. So if there's a chance for people to do that, then go do it.
I completely co-sign with that. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Michael, is there anything you want to plug before you leave?
Nothing to plug right now other than, I guess, follow me on Instagram if you see this and you like it. And also keep your eyes open for some projects that are coming up down the road, because there's stuff out there, but I've been scolded before, so I won't go there again.
All right. Thank you so much, guys, for joining. I'll see you guys on my next interview. And please go follow Michael. He deserves it. I will pound it into your head until you go follow him. You guys have an amazing day, and I will see you guys on my next interview. Peace.
Thank you, guys. Peace, everybody.